Hello everyone, we're going to look at something on my website today, so just search for Amazing ICT. So I've been doing this for 10 years, so it comes to the top of any search engine. Just click on the top link, and then today we're going to look at the Scratch channel. If you click on View All, which is just here, there's over 1,100 projects. So we're going to be looking at this. It's called a Pong game. Basically, you have a paddle, which is the green thing, and then you try and get the ball to bounce on the paddle. So what I've done for you is I've done a sort of easy introduction because you might not have seen anything like this before. So just click on that. And then you can see at the top, which is quite interesting, that this hasn't been designed originally by me. It's been designed by somebody called Natalie, and you can actually go to her project. And then it's been remixed by somebody called NCCE. There's some instructions down here, but I'm going to talk you through it. But you might want to look at those instructions because it gives you some little ideas about the fact you can change the way the ball looks, or you can introduce a score, which we'll perhaps move on to next week. So if you click on See Inside, which is up the top, you can see I'm logged in here. You don't need to be logged in, but it's great if you can create your own account. It's all free. Just go to Join, and you just need a family email. So click on See Inside, and then I'm just going to make this smaller. I might need to refresh it. That's better. Right, so the code looks really complicated, so we're going to be looking at this over the next few weeks. But to start with, I'm just going to start on down here, which is grid. So you can see that the code for the grid is much simpler. So when I click on the grid, when I click on that icon, I'll just make it bigger. It's here, bottom left, it's blue and red. It changes the backdrop. So we tend to call them backdrops. So we've got 3 backdrops. That's a useful grid for you. That's just a standard one. And then this has got a little bit of red on. So I'm not going to tell you what the red does, but you might be able to guess. So let's just go back to that one. So first of all, like most games, you have to start it. So in this case, we click on the green flag, which is near the top left. And you'll see the ball starts to move. And you might have also noticed and it also bounces off the edges. So see what else you notice on the screen. There's 2 things that you might notice. I'm just going to stop it and then I'll start it again. There we are. So it did say move the mouse. So you will need to do this on a laptop or a desktop where you've got a keyboard. I am going to try and create a version that works on a tablet, but for now, if you could just move to a laptop or a desktop if you've got one. Just stop it, that's the red one, and start it again. So you can see the paddle moves to the centre. And you might notice that there's something called coordinates there. So let's just stop it and start it again. Watch what happens to the coordinates. So the x coordinate moves, but the y coordinate stays the same. That's because we want the paddle just to move left and right. We don't want it to go up and down the screen. Can you see? So it stays at minus 150. And that's why I've put that grid on there, so you can see that it's below halfway, so it's a minus number. The bottom number that you can get to is minus 180, so it's just above the bottom line or the bottom of the screen. Let's just do that once again. Just check you can understand it. So minus 150. Now the coordinates of the ball will change all the time because it's moving up and it's moving to the left and the right, and it's also moving down. So what I want you to do is to stop that video and just play it again if you don't understand what I've said about coordinates. And just practice changing the grid and try and think about what that red line might be for. So we've looked at the instructions for the button, which are quite simple. When we click the button, the one that says grid, it changes to the next backdrop, and there's 3 backdrops. So we're going to look at the instructions for the paddle, which is the middle. These are called sprite, so it's the middle one, the bright green one. Now this is a little bit more complicated, so I'm going to go quite slowly, and you can pause it and replay it if you want to. First of all, I'm going to make the picture with the grid on a little bit smaller, and it's the 3rd one across from the right at the top underneath the cat, and that just means that you can see the instructions. Now I've actually put in some instructions as well, so you can read those yourself if you want to, but I'm just going to explain it. So remember, this is for the paddle, and the paddle moves from the left to the right across the bottom at the value of -150. So that's exactly what that's called a variable, and I can change that. So if I want to, just to show you, say I want it in the middle of the screen, I'd put 0, 0. Let's just try that. Can you see? But because I want it down the bottom, I put a minus number. So I chose, it's got to be bigger than -180 because that's the very bottom. If I put 180, and you can try this yourself, you'll see it just touches the bottom, which I don't really want. And if I chose 180, so not minus, a positive number, 180, it would go to the very top. Can you see that? Notice that the x value stays at 0 because basically I want it to go to the center of the screen. So I want that in the center. When I say the center, I don't mean I don't mean this point 0, 0. I mean I want it on the horizontal in the center at the bottom. So I'm going to put -150 in there. So you can see there's quite a lot of maths there that you can sort of revise because you really need to know these coordinates. And then you can pull these apart. So I thought if I was a player, I'd want some instructions. So it says move the mouse. Now I got that from here. It's the second one down. It's the purple one. Move the mouse. So you can just drag, you can get rid of that and you can write it yourself, or you could choose your own instruction. And then this is important. This is a forever loop. Now it will work until we press the stop. So it won't go literally forever, but it'll carry on working until we press stop. So at the moment I've taken this out, which is quite interesting. So I'll just try it now. So you can't see any difference. That's because I'm not moving the mouse at all. And what will happen is, as soon as I put that in there, it sets the X value, that's the one here, to the position of the mouse. So it's very clever. Wherever the mouse is on the screen, it will set the position of the paddle to that position. So it allows you to control the paddle. So I'm now going to just show you on a laptop that I can move the paddle. So I'm going to click on the green flag. The paddle moves to the center and says move the mouse. And then when I move the mouse, it actually moves the paddle across. So you can see where the mouse is, and wherever the mouse is in terms of left and right, the paddle is moving. And the nice thing is if I move quickly, the paddle moves quickly. So I can sort of judge where to move the paddle. Now obviously you might want to change the speed of the ball to make it a bit harder. I just put it at speed 3, so you can change that, and that's called a variable.